man. We're gonna pivot and talk some fights here. Let's get it.
Yeah, I agree. But the next fight actually is, I believe, the first bonus from the whole card last night that was handed out. Let me make sure I got that right real fast. I didn't skip anyone. Yeah.
No, I
So
think you're right. Yeah.
yeah. So
Final fight on the prelims.
and it won't give anything away to talk about this bonus because it is the fight of the night,
Yes.
uh, which
Which
I thought was strange, and I think that's a
I
contradiction of
disagree.
what they typically do. And I do disagree with. I thought there were better fights in
I
general.
thought Jones O'Nonnell was fight of the night, even though I kind of contradict
Absolutely.
myself because I scored a 30-27. But I thought
But
that
all the
fight
judges had it
deserved a.
29-28. You know what I mean?
I thought that fight deserved a bonus. Oh, especially over this one. I'll that's a hill I'll die on.
Now I will say the activity in this fight was tremendous, and I loved
Oh,
it.
this fight was
And
sick.
like first round, I mean, both guys just pretty much they kind of felt each other out a little bit. I would say towards the first 90 seconds, and then just really
Yeah.
started taking off.
I'll say, man, and we're big Iron Turtle fans. So this is Gregory Rodrigues, minus 140 favorite, former jiu-jitsu champion, that consequently also has insane power in his hands. Fighting Jun Yong Park, a.k.a. the Iron Turtle. We're real big on his nickname. We like his fight style. We like the Iron Turtle here on the Beefy Boys breakdown. Plus 120 underdog coming into this one, which I thought, Vegas was giving a lot of respect to Rodrigues. This is another one where they came out smelling like roses, looking very smart. Man, there's probably more heart than brains. I kind of like Park going into this one. There's probably more heart than
I
brains.
did too.
Yeah. Iron Turtle, he has a dope skill set. Now, I'll say
Right.
this, and not all fights can be boiled down to this. Actually, very few can, but I thought this one can be boiled down to this. I thought just Rodrigues was able to out-athlete Park. Like, I thought that's what it was, like, obvious. Like, this, I mean, you want to talk about speed? You want to talk about power? You want to talk about flexibility? Now, we can also talk about strategy and technique because that factored in as well. It's not like he's just meatheading him out there. But I just thought the athletic gap was so wide that even
I
if
think
Park did have like a technique advantage, which I don't think he did either, I still don't think he'd have been able to overcome the athletic gap. Like just the speed, the power on the feet, and then just the flexibility and the grappling techniques on the ground. Rodrigues
yeah.
looked insanely good and just outclassed Park, which I don't understand the fight of the night bonus. I didn't find this fight to be all that competitive, and maybe I'm oversimplifying it.
It's odd because like Rodriguez is like just way more explosive, right? So like all of his shots come faster with more power, and but they came at like weird angles, and honestly they weren't super technical. So like Jun Young Park would be like in the middle of like throwing like a really nice combo and like piecing him up, and he would just start firing shots around the edges that I mean were successful because why? He's the better athlete essentially, and he has a really good chin, so he was able to stand in the pocket and return. Now coincidentally, when they were on the ground whenever Rodriguez was able to get to the ground with Jung Young Park, it was worlds different. Worlds different.
Yeah, which I think Rodriguez is like an Abu Dhabi world champion grappler. I mean, and it was apparent because sometimes you'll hear that and then you like won't see it in the cage, like you know what I mean, and it doesn't necessarily
Right.
translate. It
No,
fucking
yeah,
looked
it
it. It's
looked
like
apparent.
it's like when a receiver runs a 4.3 and then actually does what Tyreek Hill does in the league and runs by people. You know what I mean? I actually see it. It's not a meaningless paper stat. It's apparent. But like I said, it's crazy because you hear all about the grappling, you hear the Abu Dhabis, you hear all the grappling credentials. But when it comes down to it, Rodriguez can just straight up fucking crack. He can
Yeah,
fucking crack.
right.
He when Park, because Park did have some success, especially on paper, but just eye tested, just street rules, who's whooping whose ass. I mean, whenever Park would land, like Rodriguez just whatever, just didn't phase him at all. But when Rodriguez would land, I mean, it was just impacting Park just so like noticeably, visibly, however you want to describe it. It was the amount of impact, the amount of damage being caused, the amount of just eye test, just who was beating up who. I mean, Rodriguez looked great.
Rodriguez said in his post fight interview, he was like, "Yeah, I mean, I could feel." He like gave a bunch of respect to Jung Young Park, but like he was saying that like he could feel his power, but at the same time, he was like, "I knew it wasn't enough to take me out," and he was like, "It just gave me the opportunity to stand and throw back," and I was like, "Oh, that's a scary quote."
Well, now in round two, and I guess this is why it got fight of the night, because round two was a straight up throwback to like the
Like
when mixed martial,
Frankie Edgar, Gray Maynard days.
or even like when mixed martial arts was slightly less refined than what it is now. Like when a little more Keystone Light, a little less Modelo. You know what I mean? Just a little
You saying like
rougher around the
04?
edges, a little simpler. A lot of standing and banging, a lot of just who's the baddest son of a bitch. Like there wasn't a lot of
Yeah.
style bending going on. You know what I mean? Like it was a different thing. It was a different thing, man. We loved it for that. Those old highlights are dope for that exact reason. But that's what it looked like, right? Like it looked like they should have a tap out logo on their shorts when they were banging in that second round.
Well, dude, one of the old school fight styles back then was pit boxing, where you literally get in like a box and like box. So that it's like, oh, okay, so we're just gonna stand in here and trade shots till someone goes out. It's tight. Like that's what Wanderlei Silva was. So it was like,
wow.
So old UFC was like, hey, you want to be a brawler? Sick, come through.
Yeah, no, and I mean round two, and like I said, I mean, I guess Park saw that as his path to victory against a much more athletic guy, fight the ego like that. Like he, I guess, was successful, but be careful what you wish for because he drew Rodriguez into a war and into a brawl and paid the price for it. I mean, Rodriguez answered the call.
Yeah, no, and like, I mean, shout out to Jung Young Park for going out on a shield like that because like. It took a lot, and like honestly, in his defense, man, like I keep saying, he was landing like nice combos. They just weren't gonna be enough, and Rodriguez was just like, "Cool, I'm gonna throw back and just crack." So, and just clearly a bigger man, better athlete.
I'm high on Rodriguez after that, probably because I was high on Park, and he made Park look like that. So he gets the brutal uppercut. It was almost like Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Like they're both hitting each other. But then one just pop goes the weasel, and that uppercut just was pretty much all she wrote. Just a devastating uppercut. Huge power from Rodriguez, as we've been talking about. I'm fucking high on Rodriguez. And I know this could never happen, but I'm going to throw like a weird scenario that I wouldn't mind watching. Nobody's stepping up to fight Sean Strickland. I think Rodriguez versus Strickland is a barn burner.
Really? You think already?
Oh, I mean, I don't think there's no like argument I can make for like rankings but as far as like, I don't think that fight. I think he could defend himself against Sean Strickland. I think he could. I mean, at any given moment, could hurt Sean Strickland. I think he probably has a grappling advantage over Sean Strickland. Like, I don't think that fight is like out of line to make. It would be a Sean O'Malley, Chris Moutinho kind of situation. Not really, because he's already in the organization. But I mean. I think Rodriguez is dangerous against any middleweight. I think there's paths to victory and scenarios. I mean, just the insane power, and then mixed with the world class grappling credentials. Like, I mean, like I said, I'm not saying would be favored or will. I'm just saying like I don't think that there's anybody on the roster in that division that he like couldn't defend himself against, or like you know what I'm saying? That like it would be.
I 100% agree with that.
It would be like immoral to put him in a cage with these guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it like? If you're an unranked fighter, like you take like an unranked guy and put him in with a top 5 fighter. Like sometimes that's not even like moral to do. Like a guy is not on the same level. But I don't know if there's anybody that you can say that about with Rodriguez, including Sean Strickland. Like Sean Strickland, like is gonna want to stand and bang, and I think standing and banging with Rodriguez is dangerous. And then if it goes to the ground, I don't know. It's a really random like scenario to get detailed on, and it's probably not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen, but I don't know why I found myself thinking that. I was like, damn, like this strikes me as a guy that could just be like on any given night.
No, I'm with you, and like man, when you look at his record. His loss most recently, I mean, he hasn't lost before. His last loss was in 2020, right? But before that, he hadn't lost since 2015. And he only has 3 losses, and one of them was his first fight ever. So I kind of take that one off. But
and he's a guy that can be beaten. He's not a world beater, but I just think that there are paths to victory, and he has skill sets that are just on par and can present issues for about damn anybody.
Well, he's 29, so not that old, but also...
Wow, I thought he was older than that. Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. Well, in June, he was the guy that beat Dusko Todorovic. He was the
Yeah,
guy that
I
was talking
know.
about
That's right.
how important his O was. That was that same
Yeah,
guy. So like,
yeah, that's right.
he's kind of knocking off like high profile guys. So like, I don't think the Strickland thing is wrong, but man, maybe someone else just in between,
Oh
someone
yeah,
close,
for sure,
like
100%.
Brad Tavares wouldn't be a bad guy to throw him to. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Kind
man.
of test him a little bit.
No, yeah, and like I said, time will tell, and maybe this be on cold takes exposed. And I'm not even really making a take. I just think that he could be competitive with anybody you put him in there with, and I think he's a dangerous guy. I don't know if
Right.
that's going to get made to look stupid at all. Like I think that will remain true even if he does take an L or two. He's a tough customer, man. But yeah, Gregory Rodrigues -140. I said they both get fight of the night, probably due to that second round.